Hi, this is Chandrashekhar Prabhu once again. A lot of you have been giving me feedbacks and good feedbacks at that. Thank you very much for watching all my videos and giving me positive feedbacks. When I spoke about the Deepak Parekh committee and the effect on the people as to how the leader of the opposition and the government both seem to be fighting on how many benefits and what benefits to be given to developer, and nothing has been said by either party on whether the benefits should go to common man or not. A lot of you wrote to me that this move to reduce the premiums, will it in any way at any stage benefit the common man? The answer is, unfortunately, funnily, yes, it will benefit the common man. In redevelopment, you have to pay premiums. In redevelopment, you have to buy the TDRs. In redevelopment, you have to pay premium for staircase, for lift, for lobbies. You have to pay premium for open spaces, for other concessions that you need. And if all these premiums are going to cost less for the builder will benefit. But if we go for self-redevelopment, then the reduction of premiums will benefit the cooperative housing society, means the average resident of Mumbai who goes in for self-redevelopment will benefit out of these concessions and discount in premiums as well. Of course, the caveat is provided you go in for self-redevelopment. So if you go for self-redevelopment, then you shall benefit, because if the premiums are less, you pay less to the government agencies. If you pay less to the government agencies, you get more profit. More profit can translate into more area for the residents. More profit can translate into more corpus for the residents, and the citizens of Mumbai will stand to benefit out of this. This is one part in reply to innumerable. I think about 300 to 400 queries came to me on WhatsApp, and this is the answer. The answer that I gave now is the answer to all your questions. I hope I have replied to your questions satisfactorily. Now we come to a decision taken by the Reserve Bank of India very recently, and a circular that the Reserve Bank of India has issued, has circulated. It says that the beneficiaries of any of the loan schemes need to be enlisted. It has defined who could be the borrower. And in the definition of the borrower, for the first time perhaps in the history of the circulars issued by the Reserve Bank of India, the prime borrower appears to be named as the cooperative housing society, which means earlier you could lend to a developer, you could lend to an individual, you can lend to a group of individuals, you can lend to a company, you can lend to an NBFC, and there were various categories to whom the banks could lend. Now the RBI says that there is an additional entity which is added to these categories, and for the first time the cooperative housing society is entitled to borrow or to take loans from the government agencies, from the banks. And how does the RBI think these agencies can borrow? The RBI says that there are housing finance companies. For your information, there are about 150 housing finance companies which are registered with the Reserve Bank of India. Some of them have lended to the builders and lost a lot of money because the builders have defaulted. However, the real need for these housing finance companies is to lend to cooperative housing societies and individual home loan borrowers. Now that is going to be possible due to the RBI's latest circular. The RBI's latest circular says that the housing finance companies can lend to cooperative housing societies and can borrow from the National Housing Bank. So the National Housing Bank, which is an apex body which has substantial amount of money for housing the urban middle class, the urban poor, and the residents of the dilapidated buildings and the tenants. So these agencies, the housing finance companies, can now take money from the National Housing Bank, and this money can be disbursed to cooperative housing society. It's a welcome move. It's good. The NBFC in any case were permitted to lend to the cooperative housing societies. The housing finance companies are now going to lend to the cooperative housing societies. The venture capital funds can lend to the cooperative housing society, and I would go a step further and urge the Reserve Bank of India to permit the nationalized banks and all private banks to lend directly to cooperative housing society for self-redevelopment. The problem today is that they can lend within the existing rule. No rule stops the nationalized banks and private banks from lending to cooperative housing societies for self-redevelopment. But their problem is, if the money is given to self-redevelopment to cooperative housing societies, then in case of default, who would they catch? In the case of lending to builder, they can catch the builder. They won't get the money anyways. We have seen that the builders have taken the money and ran away and bled the banks and the finance companies. This has happened time and again, and more so in recent times. However, the government seems to be apprehensive about the cooperative housing society. Let me assure the RBI, the finance ministry, and all the banks that the safest lending would be to the cooperative housing society, because these are middle class people, they will not default, and more so, the saleable area would at least be five times the money borrowed by the cooperative housing societies. So if the cooperative housing society borrows 100 rupees, the sale proceeds would be 500 rupees. This cannot go wrong. So please don't think in terms of securitization. Please don't think in terms of additional securities. Go ahead and lend to the cooperative housing societies. That is what the government should do. The government should immediately come up with a circular asking nationalized banks to lend to self-redevelopment schemes. It is true that there is no law which stops the nationalized banks from doing it today, but they want collateral security which the cooperative societies cannot give. Please stop this kind of negative thinking. The cooperative societies will never default on the loans given to them, because the sellable area would be available for the lending agencies for sale, and the cooperative societies are not cheats as some of the builders have turned out to be. So this is an appeal. We are meeting the State Bank officials, we are meeting other bank officials, we are meeting the LIC Housing Finance Company. This is an appeal to all these companies to please lend to cooperative housing society for self-redevelopment. That is the best way in which the target for housing for all can be achieved. With this is Chandrashekhar Prabhu bidding you au revoir, promising you that we shall be back with more posts very soon. Keep subscribing to our channel. Bye for now.